Fancy meeting you here, David.
Good morning.
Hello, Cassidy.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Yourself?
Doing well, thank you.
Awesome. We will get started in a few minutes. See if our other friends wake up and join us today. I'm sure David's busily getting his breakfast sandwich and going sitting out on his forest-like back deck.
That sounds wonderful. Are you on the East Coast?
I'm in Ohio.
Oh, okay. I grew up in Michigan, so
Oh, I'm sorry.
fellow Midwesterner.
What
All right,
part?
my husband's a diehard Ohio State fan, so football season is interesting. Yes.
So I'm going to disappoint you, Krove, and not disappoint you. I do have the breakfast sandwich, which I pretty much eat every day. The background is not the nice one because it's supposed to rain soon. And so that kind of makes it all lame. But hopefully I'll get out there later today during the S-Bomberama of that Sis is putting on. I don't think
I got an invite. I signed up, but I didn't get my invite.
Oh, that's very strange.
More meetings.
Fair enough.
Folks, we'll give it another minute or so as folks start to join in. Posted a link to the agenda if you could mark your attendance and if you have any open items you would like to discuss today. I think we're very close on a finalized marking attendance norm. I think Amanda will find this pleasingly automatable. Hey, Sal.
Now you can hear me. Hi, how's it going?
It's going great. Glad to see you. Just a couple things to talk about today. If anyone has anything else, please add it to the open section. I guess it's 3 after the hour. We will get started. Do I have anyone that's interested in helping us take notes?
I will help.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Looks like we have a couple new friends today. Would you like to maybe take a moment and introduce yourselves to the group and say hello?
Okay, I'll go. Hey everyone, I'm Cassidy Barrett. I am an instructional designer with the LF training and certification team. So really excited to jump on this meeting. Thanks for the invite, and just kind of wanted to share some ideas and thoughts around some express learning courses for OpenSSF.
Awesome. Welcome, Cassidy.
Thanks.
Hello, my name is Andres Orby, recent college grad, now working under the Alpha Omega mentorship.
Excellent. Well, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Oh, hey, I didn't know you got the mentorship. Congrats.
Thank you, thank you.
Okie doke. A few short things. Let's hold off on newbie class. We haven't had any updates, but we'll talk about that maybe after Cassidy has a chance to chat. I wanted to give everyone an update, talk to my friends inside our secure training center of excellence within my company. And the Intel Developer Manager class is almost scrubbed. They're doing one last review. They were looking at, there's a bunch of images they have in the slide deck. So they were looking to see what the copyright on those were and either remove them or replace them with open source images. So that's the final leg. Once that's done, they're going to pass. It used to be a 200 slide deck. So pretty like I think a half day class, instructor led. So they will be passing that over to us for us to review and edit and incorporate into our body of knowledge. So ideally, July, I would expect we will get that. And the person mentioned that we had asked to review several other of the Intel classes, and they expect that the review and scrubbing process will be much more accelerated now that they know what to look for and how to coach the legal team to use their red pens. So hopefully future donations will be accelerated. We should have, I think we identified a couple different classes we were looking to get. So hopefully we'll start to get those and see how we might want to leverage them. Any questions about the Intel content? Randall?
Are they maintained?
Well, that is going to be something excellent to work out between us, the Intel authors, us and the Intel authors. I think it'll be jointly maintained between the SIG and the Intel folks.
Fair.
Patches are always welcome if you would like to maintain it. I wouldn't turn you down.
I would love to, but you know that my time now has been spoken for, so
I know the feeling.
yeah.
No, but that's a fair question because I think I think it's very. I'm presuming that Intel is going to want to continue to use it.
Exactly.
So we want to make sure that continues to be useful for Intel too.
Make this, yeah, it has to be right because this is an IP transfer of a developing domain. So you would expect that they're probably going to do either an annual or biannual review of that. When they do, what we need to provide to them, if we can, are traced statistics. So I would love what they need are not just like who finishes the course, but like literally what pages get seen the most, what's getting most coverage. And that helps us a lot. So standardize that.
Yeah, I had talked to the young lady that actually runs our program internally, and she was very excited again to get that collaboration to help our content remain fresh and get those additional feedback, but also just the opportunity to kind of learn, like Sal said, what types of metrics. So I think once we get the deck, we've had a chance to kind of think through it. I'll schedule a call to talk about specifics of maintainership and what type of statistics and how we want to maintain, keep this thing going in the future.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's a big presentation deck like PowerPoint or Impress or something like that. Is that right?
Yes.
So
for this one, yes. Again, this is training developer managers on how to do things securely and what their people are talking about.
So it's more of an instructor-led training, right?
This one is, yes.
Yeah, so I'm assuming we won't be able to get, how many how many people look at a particular slide or whatever, but we could certainly get things like how often is it downloaded or stats like that. Although, frankly, that may be a challenge in particular for the instructor-led because one person downloads at once. They may present it to 1,000 people. And 50,000 bots may download and never to be seen again by the light of day. So I'm not sure we count that, but
and that's the type of stuff we can talk through. Kind of what is useful to try to capture, what's possible.
Yeah. At some point, I mean, all of this stuff, there's an entire field around this, and there's conferences around how you organize this information. And I go to them because they're the most fun conferences. But like one of the best things that you can do for this is like, let's have a separate like OSSF or Linux email subscription that goes out once a month that lets them know any updates, and that also does a month-to-month survey that says, did you utilize any of these resources or are you aware of these new resources? So it does your exposure, your retention, and your statistics in a way that's non-intrusive. And that solves the problem of not being able to capture, especially because a non-zero amount of the people are going to be using VPNs. So that's why it's always hard for me to get stats around cybersecurity. It's a unique user group. So
that's fair. I like that. It also I like the combining of the not only getting stats about it but getting the word out in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's great retention. And also it hits all of our classes. So like if I'm a manager and I don't want to take these classes, I'm still going to sign up for that list so I can go and yell at my devs.
Hopefully not yell, but yes.
Well, and you know, and I don't know what the procedure was, but how we adjusted the secure fundamentals class into the SCORM Connect system. So that might be another option for us if we're looking for additional metrics and tracking and integration into LMSs. So that's
Yeah,
another
and-
thing if we want to,
and-
we could elect to pursue
Well,
that.
not just want, we kind of have to. It's our due diligence because one of our, like the premise of this is that it's extendable and it has to be in that if we're going to get this into colleges at all. So that'll be great.
And I can also bring in Flavia from LF that does the instructional design when we're ready to organize, so she could help us with her input.
Yeah, Randall, I worked under Flavia.
Oh, there you go. Sorry,
Yeah.
I don't know everyone yet. My bad.
That's okay, no worries.
I only know Flavia so far.
Well, now you know Cassidy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I'm meeting Cassidy for the first time, but I've worked with Flavia for quite some time. She's awesome, so I'm looking forward to working with you too.
I actually worked on your course, David.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No. Yeah, it was one of the first courses I worked on when I started.
Okay, all right. Flavia is the person I interacted with more, so my apologies. I did have a question going backwards. Sal, you mentioned this approach about. Is there a name for this thing that you're talking about, where you get both the stats and make awareness and so on?
Yeah. I've got to go back and find. There used to be. So I'm stealing this all from. There used to be this conference in Seattle, and it was all about this. And as soon as I remember what it is, it used to be out of like Microsoft, like experience design. But yeah, no, it's just about like it's cognitive design for education, right? So how do you like distill in? So it's not just like individual. This is more about how do I make sure that things have retention at an institutional level, which is like all anyone cares about because this is corporate. So yeah, but I can do more on that. I do have to drop today in about 15 minutes. I've got to run to London. But I do have one quick thing that I want to put out there just to seed into people's minds. So everything that I've done in security is part of a 1 in 3 part future proofing method of moving us forward in tech. We've got to do that because we're looking down the barrel of in about 5 years, quantum security issues. I have put together a proposal that would combine my 2 places of love, Carnegie Mellon and MIT, into starting to put out applied category theory and software design so that we can start to get a future-proofed way of doing security. So that, if I can get that moving, is something that we'd be looking at in about a year into starting to build out as courseware, because what we need there are competent developers and corporations using this as their design principle. So over the next year, I really want us to figure out what does, like exactly how is it that we're translating into very tractable courseware. And if we do that, I can get us something that would literally like, we would no longer be sort of like chasing the coattails. We could actually be building robust, categorically robust systems. So
Cool.
I've got my fingers crossed on that. And we've got a grant that will be going out for that. And if we get that, it's absolutely going to be positioned for this.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to working with you on that. Any
Yeah.
questions for Sal about that interesting future topic for us?
Many questions, so I will wait with bated breath.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll talk more about that as I start to get it together.
Okay, awesome.
All right. So before Sal dips out on us, I wanted to mention that our DE&I committee has put together a monthly office hours program where they get together. And so far, it's been kind of an ask us anything. And they've had some students show up, and it's been some good engagements. That's where the idea of the newbies class was reinforced to us as something that would be nice to have. Jennifer Bly from the OpenSSF marketing, I guess she is the whole marketing team. The whole marketing team put together some suggestions on some placards we can use for social media to get the word out about office hours. So if you get a chance, take a look at that Slack thread. She has 2 examples. I think both are pretty good. But if the group has a particular opinion on one or the other, then we can start to get together the actual docket of what they plan to talk about during the future office hours and start to socialize that, get that out via LinkedIn and Mastodon and the tweeters and all that nonsense. So we hopefully can get some more folks joining us on that kind of educational session.
That'd be great. Cool.
All right. So let's talk to Cassidy. I met her last year at the Dublin OSS Summit, and we had a hallway talk outside of the beautiful convention center there. And then I promptly lost her business card traveling home. And but she reached out, and she's here, and she's working on an idea of some not necessarily security education training, but training around the OpenSSF. So maybe Cassie, you want to kind of talk about your idea a little bit and share with us some of your ideas.
Yeah, so thanks for having me. Good to see everyone this morning. I was ruminating on this idea for the last year or so. We talked about doing some micro courses, but we've now coined the term express learning courses. We've launched one of them so far. We have another one in the works. But these are just small bite-sized courses that a learner can take in about an hour. So essentially it'd be about 30 minutes of written material, video, and then 30 minutes of hands-on exercise or lab work. We are utilizing DigitalOcean, so we have an easy button that will take the learner into kind of a terminal. And so we have that, or we could go another route too. But what I was thinking about when I was in Dublin and I was in one of the sessions for you guys and seeing all the different working groups, it would be really neat to have an express learning course for each of the working groups to kind of onboard newbies or spread awareness or just get a small lab activity for each of those concepts or ideas. The course development should not take too long for these courses because it is only about 30 minutes of material. So I don't foresee it taking too long to do these. I need the brains, I need the SMEs to help execute this. So we're trying to do them under the different umbrellas. And OpenSSF idea around the working groups is one of the ideas that I had. So I'm open to questions and feedback.
Oh my God, yes, thank you. So what I've been trying to get done, so I've been trying to get 3 blogs out, but as a volunteer, I don't want to do this. This is very much a Linux thing. So I'm so glad you're going to do this. What we've been trying to get, so basically I have to field phone calls right now, like Zoom calls from OSPOs all around the globe, asking me how they can get involved in OSSF. And I say, I don't work for them. Stop making me take these calls. So there's 2 different types of profiles that we need to explicitly create a journey for. Most important, I need a blog out like yesterday that talks about the right working groups for an OSPO specifically, so that there can be a better understanding of people with money pockets. Where do they need to go? And let's not put them into the working groups where they're not going to feel valued first thing, right? Put them in the high-powered ones. So OSPO journey, and then hobbyist or volunteer journey or developer journey. So getting them to know which are the hard engineering pathways. And then a third one, which we can have a lower priority, but is clearly very important and need for tractability of contributors, a student portal or student journey. But I need that OSPO one right away. Y'all need it. So that'd be great.
So the blog we can work with Jennifer Bly on. We can do that at any time. There's no blocker there at all. We can start. Cool. So if you want to either start an email thread or open an issue and tag me on it, we can start to collaborate and work on that back and forth, and I'll get Jennifer looped in. I don't know if Cassidy has any other ideas, but the blog is simple and we can start today.
Yeah, so with the working groups, I kind of saw them each as separate, but what we could do as well is target those areas that you were mentioning and just kind of group them together. The only thing I worry about is the vast amount of information, it just being a small course, having one for each. There could also be a learning path that would take, you could group them into different learning paths and have a few for each.
Yeah, I think, I mean, better explanations and onboarding for each of the working groups, but it very much is, and this is why people are on phone calls with me and not in your working groups. There are very much specific clusters that specific identities need to be involved in, and you have a really high loss rate right now because the wrong people go to the wrong places and never come back. So that's, yeah, we don't
And I
need
think
more
having
information without a
those,
massive
what is
mosaic.
this
We need it to
working
be
group?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah. It sounds like the first one before you drill in is the what are all the working groups? You know, instead of drill in on one specific one, because I don't know that. I mean, if you're from the outside, how would you know which is which anyway? So I mean, there's if you had spent 5 minutes talking through each one, that would be your half an hour more or less. And I don't know if you need a work.
that'd be great.
The other half an hour, you may give the time back. They'll probably need a quiz.
And again, to Sal, we have a group that's trying to solve this particular problem already, the Diagrammer Society. So I would, again, route you there. If you have open comments, harass us in Slack, and let's see if we can energize the group to help enlist them as well.
Cool. So that's where you want me to open the issue I was going to ask.
Well, for the blog, let's open it
Yeah.
up under the education group.
Education group. Okay.
And then to your other idea, like we need user journey for OSPO and the other things. Let's think about how we can get the diagrammers deputized to help us there.
If I may, Salt, we had a conversation at LF about the quality of blog posts. So I decided to use GPT and Mojo and build my own like blog generator, just so you know. It works really, really well. Like actually kind of uncanny, like it's really weird. But yeah, you could just give it even a sentence and it'll generate like 5,000 words for you.
Yes, but please, I have also done this. Review those words.
Well,
it actually, if you use GPT directly,
yeah,
David, I don't know how much you've used GPT.
I have.
Okay.
Beware.
But if you actually build your own models, like with Mojo and whatnot, and you just use the API.
Stop. Yeah, we're all familiar. Review
this
it.
is all one, very correct. Number two, the language models that all of that run on are not like OSSF has existed after those language models, so it doesn't have information about
again,
it.
With GPT,
it will next
you
time.
You can make it understand anything you want.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Sure.
You can feed it a bunch of documentation and whatnot. That's what we fed it.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Throw in all our working group notes and see what it actually is. That would actually be a really interesting experiment. I'd love to see how it rewrites the mission based on what actually gets done.
Yeah, FYI, the AIML group is meeting in about 2 hours, 1.5 hours. I'm probably going to be talking about security of AIML systems then. So
yeah, very cool.
Did you hear about Orca yesterday, David? Just real quick, off topic.
We're off topic. Let's
okay.
Let's stop. Go back.
I thought it was interesting.
And then to circle back to Cassidy's idea about the working group trainings, I'm also plugging her in with Catherine Druckman, who is going to be leading the new DevRel committee. And they are focused on how to get developers and maintainers engaged. And that's kind of a slightly different persona. But I think that you'll also see some good partnership there to try to help figure out the messaging and who we are, and then we can get you connected with subject matter experts to provide you that. So I'm very excited about the idea, Cassidy.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
bring on a person from each working group, given the time to speak about it. But just in terms of getting this implemented, I would make that high priority. I would make it 30-minute training that is verifiable in some way. Because as a manager, right, if I hire someone in OSPO, I'm gonna say day one, take this training, got to know that you did it. So it's something that we can put a stamp on that says they have their intro to OSSF. That's gonna, I think, really help. So.
We also utilize the Credly badges for the Express Learning courses, so we can have one designed especially for these two, and so they can post their badge.
And also the badge for community entry is a really nice touch. It's something that they do in some other developer communities, and it gets rid of imposter syndrome before they get on the call, right? So just cognitively, that's a really nice way, low effort, high return. I think that would help a lot.
Yeah.
Can you briefly help me understand what the difference is between a intro to what OpenSSF is versus intro for an OSPO? I'm sure there's a difference, but I'd like to better understand that. And it sounds like you're deep involved in that.
Like in my view, when I say like intro for OSPO, that's just what is my most typical audience when they're trying to get an intro to. So it is intro to OSSF, but I just have my identity as our end user.
Okay.
And the OSPO would be the enterprise team responsible for helping facilitate the use of open source within a company.
Yeah.
So if we created a slightly more generalized, what is the OpenSSF? How do you get involved in it? As long as we made sure that it worked for OSPOs, it could probably work for other situations too.
Yeah, well, OSPOs typically onboard now a lot of their developer class. So they'll jump in first, see where they're going to engage, see where they want to pay to engage, and then have them strategically jump in. So I think that would be really helpful. And at the end of it, just like point to developer resources, all the stuff that we're already creating. So it's a super nice demo.
And I would imagine that the OSPO would be more interested in consuming our output than potentially writing tools.
Yeah,
it might be, but they're more on the consumption end, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. But that's not what we want. We want a two-way street.
Convert them.
We can work on that.
Got to lure them in. Right. Any other questions or comments for Cassidy? I'm very excited about this idea.
All right.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, so I'm going to merge these two because it sounds like it's. I don't know if you can see the notes here, but it's intro to the OSPO, and how to get involved. Intro to the OpenSSF and how to get involved.
Yeah, you don't have to call it OSPO.
Okay. But the thing is, OSPOs are a key driver. OSPOs are a key driver. They keep asking. Excellent.
And, so for Cassidy's task, I have a listing of all the working group leads, and I can provide you. They report out to the TAC every quarter, so I can provide you with kind of a current status of where each of the working groups are, who the leaders are, and then we can kind of formulate what the training might look like for these groups.
That would be fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome. Easy peasy.
Yeah, and as far as the developer and volunteer journey, I have actually just started. There is a comment in the talk about, hey, developers just can't figure out how to get started. That's a very broad. I'm sorry.
Issue 169.
There you go. I mean, there's some awesome ideas in there. I have drafted a starter developer landing page, which does not completely resolve that issue, but at least I basically pulled out a piece of it and tried to get started on it. So there's a link right there to this early draft landing page. I'm going to include in there a link to the current draft so you can see what it looks like. Not done, but just so you can, basically trying to point people not to everything the OpenSSF does, but hey, if you're trying to use something, what's available right now, ready to use? Got a lot of stuff in there, but fire's going, but not necessarily already. Yes?
And that particular issue was an incredibly well-written observation of how the foundation is not accessible from the maintainer persona. And I think the lady's handle is Web Chick. I can't recall what her name was. But she had an incredibly well thought through issue she filed and actually provided some suggested solutions. And again, it cries to the need for, the training that Cassidy is trying to put together, these accelerated learnings. We need to have this type of stuff to get those communities involved with us.
Yep.
All right. Do we want to jump into the newbies class, or are there other topics we want to talk about? Kind of another variation on the developer maintainer persona is we've had a lot of interactions with newcomers, recent graduates, people looking to get into open source development, career changers, so to speak. So we started the idea of assembling information on an intro to working with open source, OSS for newbies. And my friend Max from Major League Hacking went through and added added some more meat to the bone, so to speak. And I was wondering if, in concert with our review of the developer manager training, do we want to continue to pursue to flesh this out and make it something so like teaching people or pointing them to training on how to file your first issue, how to do a PR, for example, trying to teach people basic skills that they need to be able to work within the development section of our community.
I think it's certainly valuable. And I'm sorry, Cassidy had to go right when I was going to ask her a question. Because the LF actually does have some courses. I don't know if any of them really meet this particular desire, but I think before creating a new course, let's make sure that one doesn't already exist. And in particular, if one almost does it but it has some weaknesses, we might be able to take, okay, it gets 80%, let's add the other 20%, whatever. Also, I would like, we've got an S for security in there. I'd like to see something security related in there.
Yes, obviously that would need to be the main driving purpose behind it for us.
Yeah.
And David, I already told Tim, and there's kind of an effort to get a meeting between Krob and Tim together because Tim has thoughts on this as well.
Okay, Tim has which Tim? Sorry,
Tim Serwick.
Okay,
Tim.
Some who call me.
My name is Tim.
Some who call me Tim.
And I would absolutely agree. We don't want to recreate the wheel. And if our value add is federating and aggregating all the existing material and making a nice presentation layer delivery of this, hey, here's all these things that a newbie can do and tick off the box, so to speak, that'd be as good. But if there are gaps, I think it's great. We could add supplementary training, contribute back to those classes. Here's some additional things to help address this particular persona, because the intention might not of those, I imagine those classes may not be thinking about the newcomer journey potentially. I'm fresh out of college. I don't have a lot of actual working experience. How do I get integrated and start to become a contributor?
Yeah, and I will add, and this is, unfortunately, but I'm speaking as someone who teaches actually at a university. It is remarkable. I have a number of students who are in the workforce and a number of students who have never been in the workforce. And it is remarkable, even after years of going through school, how many of the basics the folks who've only been through school don't know. What's a get kinds of levels, which you think is scary, but you know what? Yeah, it's never in the classroom. Why would they know?
They're too busy teaching you Pascal.
No, well, I mean, you know what? There are definitely people who use Delphi. If Delphi is a serious use in the financial world, we don't teach Pascal, by the way, but
You stopped that last week. I get it.
That and Fortran.
Fortran.
Now, before you laugh at Fortran, that is serious use. If you use machine learning, you're using Fortran. All that neural network stuff, that's matrix multiplies, baby. But coming back to this though, it is a challenge that even the folks who go to university and learn lots of stuff, they will learn lots of things, but it's easy to forget the things they don't know.
Yeah. Well, and I imagine it's focusing more on theory and critical thinking, not necessarily current state of the art tool, how things are done in the real world.
Right. There's often no place in the curricula for that, which is kind of sad and shameful, my viewpoint. But yeah, and I'm in the system, but oh well. Or at least I have a toe in. You'll be shocked to know that I'm not omnipotent when it comes to controlling curricula.
Well, and that's something we tried to influence in the Cleveland area, because there were so many universities and we had such a good integration with our academic professorship that we tried to influence the security curriculum for a decade and made very small impacts on the dozen or so colleges and universities around the area.
Instead of focusing on colleges or universities, is it possible to focus on potentially putting that knowledge and knowledge base on MLH? Because I know
no, this is what we're talking about, because we're saying even if you go to university, you don't know this. so yeah, there's a need for this regardless. And I haven't seen the latest stats, but I think it's about half and half. About half of the current developers go to universities and colleges to learn this, and the other half don't.
And just for some context, this group has a proposal on how to improve secure development education. And our approach was very multi-focused, where we wanted to focus in on primary and secondary education, university, college, trade school, people that are already in the career and looking to upskill or change careers. So we have a couple different personas we're looking at addressing, and many different paths to get that information out to the different learners. And it would be a combination. There would be some traditional classes. There might be boot camps. There could be, we have a training tool that Randall and team help manage for us, the SKF, Security Knowledge Framework, that actually is like hands-on labs. So we have a lot of different techniques and approaches to get this stuff out. Jay.
Yeah, I've long since, raised the argument. It's just like I can always say argument like the bachelor's degree is a new high school diploma. I've raised that argument, but I say the same thing on the security side. We got supply chain security, which seems to be a subset of now cyber security. And, I say to people, I was studying this stuff before it was sexy. So this is back when it was just, straight up, you software engineering, you learn something about error checking and error handling, and then you merge over into what is called information security, period. Point blank, period, information security. In my firm opinion, there needs to be an information security course that's foundational, that gives you a basic foundational understanding of what information security is. Because if I sit in another meeting where somebody who should know better says, what's the difference between a security framework and compliance requirements, I might lose my mind. I might lose my mind.
I'm doing a keynote about that later this year.
Now, we already do have a course on how to develop secure software, and it does actually talk about things like the CIA triad and that sort of thing. If it's relative, I'm pretty sure it doesn't cover that specific point, but if it's a couple key points that's missing, we could add it. Or again, but the developer course, obviously, it's drilling down into you're a software developer. It's obviously not tuned, right? It's not tuned to folks who aren't developing software. So if we need a different course that for what is security and software development, but not necessarily for the developers. We have talked about having a manager course. I don't know where that sits. I mean,
That's
maybe
what
that
Intel's donating.
I'm sorry.
That's what Intel is donating, and that
Okay.
we'll have the opportunity
Yeah.
to improve upon.
But you know, we got to crawl before we walk and walk before we run. I mean, how, like, I don't know when it became okay to just jump to like something so complex as supply chain security today. And hell, we didn't even finish our breakfast on that before now we're talking about secure use of AI ML and developing software and services. I mean, we didn't even finish our breakfast on supply chain, and we're still developing stuff that nobody understands, right? So I like it, but to go back and say, well, what is the foundational? You talk about the CIA triad. Who knows what that is today? Now, if you say CIA triad, if I was to say, okay, well then let's talk about dad. Let's talk about dad. Who the hell? You know what I mean? Nobody. We don't even. You know. So like I said, we need to have a come to the mountaintop moment and just say, let's take a step back and teach people some foundational elements of this stuff. Exactly. You know what I mean? You know, some found. Oh, don't let me go. I'm not at home right now, but I'll pull down the Sean Harris book. Now, if you don't know who Sean Harris is, right? You know what I'm saying? Those of us who've been in the game for a while, remember Sean Harris. I'll pull down the Sean Harris book, right?
Right here.
See, you see what I'm saying? You see, Crow. That's why you and I, we just, you know what I mean? I'll never leave you, Crow. I'll never, you know what I mean? But that needs to happen because these are foundational items
Agreed.
that will take somebody's understanding of what's going on today and say, okay, I can properly apply this to foundational knowledge and then expand upon it to expand upon it towards what's emerging, right? And so it all makes sense. So I mean, I'll jump off my soapbox, but those are the things I see that I think we need to you know. I'm off my soapbox.
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to try to share your soapbox briefly. I'll stick my toe on there. So once Intel's material comes over, first of all, for instructor led, I think that. I mean, we haven't seen the material yet. My expectation is that it's going to be great. We're going to have some. Oh, what about this? We'll propose some improvements, and Intel will be happier. Their course will be better. We'll be happier. I mean, things will be better. My hope is that once we've kind of gone through that process of review and refinement, maybe we could extract it into something that's my brain is off self-propelled, something that doesn't require an instructor.
Yeah.
Like
a webinar or a CBT.
Yeah, CBT kinds of things.
Totally in agreement, David. I would also add that the market for instructor-led training has been shrinking rapidly as of the last couple of months.
Yeah, I mean, universities have the serious advantage that people actually still care about degrees and are willing to show up for courses to get a degree, and that doesn't always happen.
And again, thinking back to our proposed triad, that our strategy is we have instructor-led classes, we have computer-based hands-on learning like SKF, and then we have that other third area, right? It's boot camps, podcasts, blogs, webinars, and it's all based off of that core content, and it's just adjusted for the venue, the channel. I lost all my awesome bookmarks, so I can't find our spreadsheet. And if Dave was here, he could point me to the damn spreadsheet. But yeah, we probably need to sit down seriously in one of these calls and do the assessment of what content we have, what we want to present, and what gaps do we have. We have not done that kind of gap assessment. We did the log of we've found all this stuff, but we've not synthesized that into useful wisdom yet.
Probe, I need to run, but I will push Tim on that.
Sure. I love extra meetings, please.
You keep saying that, Crow. People are going to start believing you.
I know they keep landing new stuff in my inbox all the time. Aha, content gap analysis. Yay, meeting there. Yeah, it was called educational materials.
But yeah, but I'll let you know, and I'll catch up with everyone next time.
Okay, great. Thank you, Randall.
No problem. Bye.
Well, do we have any additional thoughts? So it sounds like, again, this is a new perspective. We need to address this newbie. Sounds like will be good effort to work on. Any other thoughts or conversation we want to have on that matter? I think we're all in violent agreement. Do we have any other topics we want to talk about today as a group? If not, I will adjourn us 15 minutes early. I will see some of you in the vulnerability disclosure call later today, and the rest. Thanks for coming, and looking forward to collaborating in the future. Have a great day.
Have a good one. Peace.